So I saw a Facebook post the other day that said, here's a list of things that you're entitled to, and it was a blank sheet of paper. And that got me thinking about something that's been on my mind lately, and it's kind of a realization. I think I accidentally live in a libertarian dystopia. Not that the society around me is libertarian, it isn't, but on some level I believe that it is. That somehow I found myself in a place where I believe libertarian principles, and it sucks. So let's think for a second about that piece of paper. There's nothing that you are entitled to. What does that mean? That means you're not entitled to love? Nope. Familial love, throw it out the window. You're not entitled to it. If you can't afford it, you can't have it. So if you don't earn that familial love, tough stuff. And that's the kind of thing that if you really live by these kind of objectivist or libertarian principles, those are the kind of things that, it's a blank piece of paper, the things that you're entitled to. You're not entitled to the love of your family. You're not entitled to someone being there for you when you have a need, when you're in trouble. You're not entitled to it. If you happen to have it, oh, good for you. If you can pay for it, oh, good for you. But you're not entitled to it. And that is horrible. That is so inhuman. I don't know if that was the intention of the person who created that internet meme and started spreading it around. But when I think about my perspective of the world, my libertarian perspective of the world, which has left me miserable and lonely and I don't know. It's that blank piece of paper. It's that feeling that I'm not entitled to anything, that I don't deserve anything, that I don't deserve anything that I can't pay for, basically. So, let's break it down. What does it mean to live in a libertarian society? So first of all, what happens in a truly libertarian society, in a truly unforgivingly objectivist society, when you fail? When you just straight out fail, you invest everything you can into something because you don't have much, and the only way you could invest in anything ever is if you invest everything. You invest it all in and you fail. What happens? Can you go and crash on your parents' couch? Nope. You're not entitled to that. Can you find a friend and crash on their couch? Nope. You're not entitled to that. You can't ask for someone else's help. That's immoral. That's not on that piece of paper that says the things you're entitled to. If you haven't somehow earned, paid for, or traded for that friendship, that privilege to crash on a couch, then you can't do it. That sucks, because that means that basically when you fail, you have two options. You can die or you can become a criminal. That is a horrible choice, because failure is part of success and failure is part of life, and failing and bouncing back is what makes people resilient and makes society strong. There are very few people in this world who have succeeded 100% right away on the amazing ventures that they undertook. Most of the things we have in this world are the product of a series of failures, and to assume that you are not entitled to anyone having your back when you fail sucks. But honestly, that's how I see the world. I don't believe that anyone will be there for me when I fail, when I falter. I don't think, and I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm sure that there might be people there for me, but I don't feel like I can ask for it, because I've been surrounded by this libertarian thinking for too much of my life, and as a consequence, I've internalized the notion that I am personally responsible for all my failures, and if I fail, it is a statement of me, and I don't deserve to have anyone come and help me out and pick me up. Would my parents give me a couch to crash on if my life fell to pieces and I had no money and was broken inside and out? Maybe. And even if they did, I would feel guilty about it. I would feel guilty for having a need, which is depressing. It's very, very depressing. And I think most people that advocate for libertarianism have never. I don't think they understand what they're advocating for. People that advocate for this extreme objectivist libertarian perspective, this blank sheet of paper that says you are entitled to absolutely nothing. I don't think they understand what that means. That means no one will be there for you if you fail. If you are saying, oh, but no, family's okay, you're entitled to your family. No, you're not. Okay? Because someone who doesn't have family doesn't have that. So why would you be entitled to your family? That's ridiculous. You're not entitled to anything. No one owes you anything, and no one should give you anything if you can't pay for it. That's the natural conclusion of that argument. Not that, oh, you can count on your family if your family. That's feudalism. That's not objectivism. That's not libertarianism. That's not capitalism. I mean, basically what you're saying then is that it's all about your tribe. If you're born to a strong family, then yeah, you're set, you're good. If you're not, you're screwed. That's awful. That's awful. We have spent hundreds, thousands of years struggling to get away from that kind of bloodlines mentality to life. If you're going to tell me that on that sheet of paper, the only thing that's on there is your family, then that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a clan-based society, a tribe-based society. And I don't buy it. I don't buy that that's what objectivism or libertarianism is really about. I don't buy it for a second. So, yeah, I think there's no family on there. I think your family doesn't owe you anything if you're going to be an objectivist, if you're going to be a libertarian like that. If you're going to hold up that piece of paper that says, here's what you're entitled to, nothing. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand human nature. You don't understand what that means. You don't understand what that life would be like. You don't. And you're full of crap. There's other things I could say about that. I could go into a lot more detail about that. And maybe I will in the future. Because honestly, it's something that interests me. And I think I'm realizing that the reason it interests me so much is that it has infected me. That I have been tainted by the cultural meme of libertarianism and objectivism. That it has infected my society and consequently myself. And I am the worse for it. Absolutely the worse for it. Because deep down in my soul, a part of me truly believes that the only way I will ever have friends is if I can buy them. The only way I will ever have help is if I can buy them. The only way I will ever have love is if I can buy it. That's deep down what a part of my soul believes. Because it's what it's been told. And it's horrible. It's disgusting. It sucks. So there's an expression you may have heard pertaining to children. It is time for the bird to leave the nest. The idea being that they should strike out on their own and learn to be self-sufficient. At the risk of stating the obvious, I am not a bird. And you're not a bird. And none of us are birds. What we are is apes. And apes are social animals. Apes are tribal. Apes live in a community and work together to get things done. And that's what it means to be an ape. So the metaphor is a little flawed when it comes to human nature. It's sort of an ingrained aspect of our society and of our thinking, though, this idea that we are individuals. I'm not saying we don't have unique selves. Each of us is a unique person. Sure, that's not what I'm talking about. Those are different things. Individuality and personhood are different things. Individuality means that something cannot be divided. You know, if I cut you in half, you are two broken halves. You are not two individuals. Put those pieces together, and that makes up one person, one what we would call an individual. But my contention here is that that's wrong. If you take all of my arms and legs and head and torso and you put them all together into one person, that is not an individual. That is a broken piece of an individual. The individual is larger than that. The individual is the society. And like I said, you can find self-expression in there. You know, your lungs are different than your brain, are different than your liver. You know, each is unique and has a personal identity and personal responsibilities, absolutely. But you would never say that your heart is an individual or your brain is an individual. Taken all together, that's what we would call an individual. But what I'm saying is it's not. It's not an individual because we're apes. If you take one ant and you separate it from the hive, that ant cannot survive. It not only cannot survive, it loses meaning as an organism. In a sense, the hive is the organism of the ant. And an individual ant is just a limb, is just a part of that. Now, that's an extreme example. Ants are far, far, far orders of magnitude more social than apes are. But apes are still social animals. And if you take an ape, a human being, and you separate it from society and you leave it on its own, it slowly goes insane. We know this to be true. Yet we continue to call ourselves individuals, as if this is where it stops, as if this is the point at which you can no longer chop things off, the point at which you can no longer divide things, but it's not true. The person is past the point of individuality. Individuality exists in relationships. Because when you sever all relationships, you sever humanity. This is the fundamental flaw of most libertarian or objectivist thinking. And I know, I'm sorry, I conflate the two because I'm just kind of rushing through and, you know, doing this rant style and not being very academically thorough, and I'm sorry. They're not necessarily the same thing, and I don't mean to imply that they are. But they share that common characteristic where they treat individual personal responsibility as paramount, under the assumption that personal responsibility is central to what it is to be human, and that's just not correct. It's not correct factually. From a biological standpoint, it's not correct in terms of how we function and interact with each other. It's not correct in terms of utility, what makes us happy, what makes for a well-functioning society. It's not correct in any way. No objective analysis of reality would lead you to the conclusion that personal responsibility is paramount. An objective analysis of reality would suggest that social responsibility is paramount because we are, in fact, social animals. We are, in fact, apes. Now, if you reject the notion that we are apes, maybe for religious reasons you don't believe in that sun is killing me right now. Maybe for religious reasons you don't believe in evolution, you don't believe that we descend from apes. Well, I mean, in that case, if you're a diehard Christian, hey, guess what? You're your brother's keeper. We are still social animals, you know? And our social relationships are still paramount. And I'm not rejecting the notion of personal responsibility entirely, and I'm certainly not advocating for Stalinist communism, which of course some people will accuse me of because people are idiots. Um, what I'm saying is that that fundamental argument, that fundamental principle that supports most or a lot of libertarian and objectivist thinking is just wrong. It's just wrong. Personal responsibility is not paramount. Personal responsibility is only part of what it means to be human. Because without a society, we are not human. We have this conception just in America of personal responsibility. This idea, for example, of home ownership, that you are less of an adult if you don't own your own home because you lack the kind of personal responsibility of home ownership. And I think that's completely insane. Not everyone has the skills or should have the skills of being a property manager. Not everyone should have the skills or has the skills to be a mechanic. The very idea of interreliance, of social connections, is based on the assumption that we are all different and that we need each other. We need each other. So if you don't want to own a house, or you don't want to learn how to change the oil in your car, or you don't want to learn the things that are quote unquote responsible, what I'm saying is that's okay. You can pay someone else to do it for you. You can find someone in your family to do it for you. And that is not evil. It's not immoral. It's not less, doesn't make you less of an adult. Because what you are, assuming that you're an adult, what you are is an adult ape. You are an adult ape. Where is your tribe? Where are the people that are helping you? You're not alone. No man is an island, and no man should try to be an island. We are our bonds. And if you're lonely because you don't have bonds, uh, hi, I'm kind of lonely too. Because we live in a society that assumes that we're individuals, and we're not. And I don't want to be an individual anymore. I want to be a person. I want to be myself. But myself is an ape. What I'm meant to be is my social interactions. What I'm meant to be is my tribe. And I don't have one of those. And that's sad.